Welcome to From Spreadsheets to Modern FP&A, Smarter Job Cost Planning, Forecasting, and Reporting. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our subject matter experts and speakers, Michael Ciprietti and Chris Porter.
Today's agenda, quickly, we'll be covering some of the reasons why many of you have joined us today. Then we're going to be discussing some of the factors that are impacting the construction and other project and job related centric industries. And then the reason why we're here, and then we're going to lead into the Prophix 1 platform demonstration. And then as Neil mentioned, at the end of the webinar, we'll have a Q&A session where you can chat or use the chat to provide some questions for us. Yeah, I'd like to just make some assumptions here on some of the reasons why many of you are joining us today. So you're either a controller, finance executive, CFO, analyst, you're sitting in the finance department or the FP&A function of your organization. In the last few years, you've probably felt an increasing demand on your team from the rest of the organization to become more than just data organizers and reporters. Many other parts of the business are now starting to lean heavily on the FP&A function to become a true business partner to provide timely insights and action items for those other units. You are trying to deliver that with the current tools and processes you have, but as those demands keep increasing, and it will become even more difficult to scale and keep up with manual processes and tools that you might have in place. These things can include things like, if you're fumbling through massive spreadsheets, you're working with disconnected source systems, the systems don't talk to one another, there's several sources of truth, managing it with outdated processes. These are the areas that could be slowing your progression toward becoming that true business partner to the rest of the organization. You're not alone. According to a CFMA stat, there are 70% of construction companies that maintain manual processes for FP&A. And that is in construction, that's in other project-centric industries. And this is a testament to another stat that indicates construction is a laggard in technology adoption across all industries. But at the same time, you probably do sense that your organization has more potential. You can provide more timely insight. You can be a little bit more agile. It's there. You just need the right tools and processes to unlock it. And this could be a part of a broader digital transformation across your business. And you wouldn't be alone in that either, because there is another stat according to construction technology trends that indicates 81% of general contractors are looking to invest more in technology to automate these processes. It is these investments that will enable your team and organization to stay competitive, to effectively manage the many factors that may hinder your performance today. And on the next slide, we will talk a little bit what some of these factors are. And I do like to group them into two pieces: external factors and internal factors. So external factors include things like inflation, material costs, policy changes, supply chain disruptions. These shift constantly, especially today, and they impact our ability to accurately job cost, project pricing points that will provide healthy margins, and analyze our performance against our projections. On the right side, we have internal factors. This is where we do have a little bit more control. We can improve how our departments and business units collaborate both cohesively and interdependently by implementing smarter workflow tools. We can bring in automation to reduce manual work and errors, at the same time increase worker productivity. We can increase data visibility by shifting FP&A from like an information gatekeeper function to more of a facilitator of the ease of access to insights for the different units within the organization. We can put in the right tools in place to be better prepared for uncertainty and those what if scenarios instead of being blindsided by them. So while on the left side, the external factors are areas where we cannot control the price increases of concrete, but we can plan for the various scenarios, and we can change how quickly and confidently we respond to them. And on the next slide, we have an illustration of how the different factors and the dynamics between them and what it means for FP&A. At the top, we do see that industry and external factors. These are two forces that are constantly working in tandem and applying pressure from the outside. So they shape the environment that we operate in. External factors like policy changes and geopolitics are going to influence your industry factors like labor markets and supply chain shortages. And these really test your ability as an organization to respond and compete in the marketplace. However, the strength of your internal factors, like your departmental cohesion, systems that you have in place, your decision-making confidence, that will determine how well you respond to what's happening above in the external factors section. And this is where your organization has the most control. So the top half really represents, the pressures that we operate within, and then the bottom half is really all about your ability to adapt, respond, and compete. At the center of it all is FP&A, and FP&A is really what connects all these layers. It's you guys that pull in all the signals from the external and industry shifts, you filter them through your internal capabilities, and then you turn them into insight the business can actually act on. And that brings us to why we are here. It really comes down to three powerful outcomes that modern FP&A solutions enable. The first being precision. Today's volatile business environment, guesswork just doesn't cut it. You need to control your financial outcomes with accuracy and confidence. That means clean data, whether it's from all your source systems, information hygiene that is well understood by the whole business. Everybody's on the same page. Everybody's working with the same data. The second is the adaptability. Again, with this constant theme of change is constant, whether it's internal or external changes, modern FP&A platforms help you integrate the data with people and processes so you can quickly adapt and change with minimal functional disruption. And then lastly, it's really all about performance. So not just in the numbers, but in the people behind them. So when teams have access to the timely insights and simplified workflows, they are empowered to make smarter, faster decisions, driving desired results. And you'll see a couple examples of benchmarks that we can implement, like reducing DSO, increasing margins. It is these things that when the whole team is on the same page, you can now start driving these results.
With this huge digital, evolution of the last decade in the office of CFO, many organizations are just acquiring data sets, ERP, HR systems, CRM systems, project management systems. And at the center of all of this, when they get these applications, is where do you put your data when you need to report on it? Where do you put your data when you need to budget? Spreadsheets. And everyone knows the pain that you take in time-consuming process that is dealing with spreadsheets, right? They're error prone. They, open your organization to security and data breaches, and ultimately with the pace and change and answers that people that lead departments, lead projects that they want, it just can't keep up with it, right? The speed of the space at which businesses evolve and operate nowadays, spreadsheets ultimately, just can't keep up. And this problem really only gets worse as organizations continue to grow, both in data as also in human capital and people. This challenge only kind of gets worse over time. And again, at its core is this idea of we put our data into spreadsheets, we do all of this work to try to automate it, but ultimately it's static. Ultimately it can't help you answer the question, what if this occurs in our business? And not only if it occurs, what does it do to our balance sheet, our income statement, our cash flow? What is the impact of a 25% tariff on something, right? You need to be able to answer those questions quickly, just as being able to answer questions about your reporting, about your data, and the performance of your jobs. But great news, software gets built to solve problems, and so it doesn't have to be this way. And so the way that Prophix One works is Prophix One integrates directly to all these systems. It eliminates all of that manual download, export, put the data in. And not only does it integrate, it builds the data into what we call data models. So a data model for your financial data, your P&L, your balance sheet, your cash flow. A data model for your job cost, your WIP reporting, your projections, and things of that nature. A data model for your workforce planning. And the beauty of it is that all of the logic, all of the calculations, and all of the roll-up structures, and all of that good stuff is centralized in one place. It's controlled. But with that control comes the freedom that you're going to see in a little bit for your end users to be empowered to get answers to information quickly, to answer the question, what if, to run scenarios, to update forecasts, at the speed of light. And being able to do that will allow your business to operate in an agile way and to deliver those results that Mike was talking about a little bit earlier. So that centralized concept, that single version of the truth, is finally achievable. Finally, your organization is going to be entirely on the same page, marching to the same beat of the same drum, and ultimately driving towards the goals that you've set out for the organization for the year. The Prophix One platform is comprised of 4 major areas. We're going to talk about FP&A today, but the beauty of our platform is as many customers do, they start off solving 1 or 2 problems, right? Budgeting and planning, reporting, forecasting, and so they buy our FP&A application. But as mid-market organizations grow, and we all know they do grow, they do become more complex, the beauty of our platform is that the platform grows as you continue to grow. So if you need an account reconciliation application, it's there. It works with what you already have. If you need a consolidation application because you bought another company, you have partial ownership in an organization, you're doing an M&A and you want to integrate their data, no problem. So it really allows you to grow and support those needs as your business grows, right? One vendor, you deploy those new applications as you need them, but ultimately you can start as small as you need. Moreover, the entire application is surrounded by AI. We have some of the latest and greatest technology and AI built into our applications, and that AI is pervasive across the entire platform. So as users are using different parts of the platform, it understands what's happening. It makes suggestions. It answers questions. No longer do you go to a financial analyst to say, how much money did we spend last year in marketing? What was our variance against budget? The Prophix One Intelligence AI engine and Prophix Copilot really flips everything upside down. Now people can ask questions, get answers in a simple way. And so the entire platform is really on that latest and greatest technology to really help finance teams work smarter. I'm pleased to say that Prophix as an organization is a leader in performance management for contractors and construction organizations. Nobody has more customers than we do in this space, and it's just a phenomenal group of contractors, and really being able to help them drive the financial performance of their business. You saw a couple of KPIs in there about our customers growing their construction projects, improving their margins. Their success is our success, and we're really proud to have many of these organizations call Prophix their performance management partner. All right, so we're going to dive into our FP&A application that Prophix offers. And so as we kind of come into here, the whole premise of the application is obviously to bring data together, centralize that information that we just talked about, right? So we integrate with everything from your ERP, your accounting system, to your CRM to bring in future projects that are probably coming in, to Procore and project management applications to show, how our project's progressing and all of that. So by bringing all that information together, again, it just puts everybody on the same page. And the beauty of CPM applications is that it's not only just reporting, but in today's demonstration, you're going to see the budgeting, the forecasting, and having that all together in one place gives you that agility, right? It gives you the ability to see how a project is progressing, to see how the actuals are coming in, and then just quickly go make an update, right? And see how that also takes effect. And so by having this all together in one application, it allows us to update our financial forecasts on our P&L, our balance sheet, our cash flow incredibly fast. And as we talked about a little bit earlier, it utilizes the capabilities of AI to be able to answer questions and, give people answers to questions that are just simple, right? It's just simple questions that you have about your data to be able to help you as a regular everyday end user understand your part of the business better. And that kind of leads me to the home screen of Prophix. And the home screen is a dashboard, right? So as you log into the application, you're presented with a personalized dashboard that's meaningful to you, that has metrics that are about your part of the business. Every user has their own security profile, so they only see what they should see. But that in and of itself saves our customers hours and hours, if not days of time over the course of an entire year. They build one report, and that one report gets parsed up. They build one dashboard, and that one dashboard gets parsed up based on each individual user's security. So this idea that I have 12 people to send a report to or a dashboard to, completely out of the picture now. The system knows the security and it shows them what they should see. So every single user can choose a dashboard or even configure a dashboard that's meaningful to them. So in that one there, that's kind of an operations view looking at many projects. Or as a project manager, I want to see how are my projects performing against estimate? How are they, we have any underbilling or overbilling scenarios? Which projects are kind of coming to completion? Cash flow is super duper important, right? Just giving a project management information that they can see every single day, every minute of every single day is just going to give them control to be able to manage the projects that they're responsible for, and hopefully, hit some of those bonus targets that they're incentivized for as well. But of course, we can't forget about the ownership group. We can't forget about finance. Still super important that everybody in finance is also getting information, that they should be having access to as well. And so it really gives everybody a taste of the information or a slice of the information that's meaningful to them and to be able to help them do their part of their job that much better. Now, the beauty of all of this is that I told you it's powered by AI, right? It gives you answers to questions. You can ask questions with the chatbot, the co-pilot up there, or you can even just click on the eye icon. It's like no longer does someone have to infer or figure out what the chart is saying. AI is going to help them understand that, which is really beautiful. It democratizes understanding your data. But again, the beauty of all of the centralization and the structure also takes shape where somebody can be looking at this information, right? And if the dashboard started off at a customer level, right, and they wanted to drill down into the projects that we're doing for that customer, the centralized hierarchy provides the user with the freedom and flexibility to do that. So I drill down on this customer here, it now automatically knows these are the projects that we're working on for that customer. And in this case, we kind of look at this project here, design project that we're working on. And this is obviously a super important thing, right? The PMs are measured on the margin, the ability to, for many of you guys, keep that single-digit margin intact over the course of the whole project. And so as they're kind of looking at these things, again, it gives them the freedom to drill down, to slice and dice, which you're going to see in a little bit. But if anybody has a question about, can I see the invoices behind that, the billings? No problem. It has all of that detail, provides people with the insight, and even allows them to click into the virtual invoice that we might have provided to that customer to be able to then just pull that up, send it back to them really quickly without having to jump over to the systems and the data sources that this information came from. So it just really simplifies people's lives and allows them to just work quickly, work smartly. Now, additionally, as we kind of keep moving along here, people always have questions about data, right? They have a question like, show me all of the invoices. We just saw that as a good example. But it's always very common that someone says, well, can I see the entire, like all of the costs? Can I see all of the billings? No problem. That's where we have this guided path of analysis that every single chart will lead somebody on further. So again, giving people the autonomy to actually keep going on that data journey on their own. And so now as I click on the link icon, what it's going to do is it's going to open up a subsequent report. And in this report, it's going to give me the entire performance of the job. It's going to show me, if there's any receivables outstanding. It's going to give me explanations if other project managers have put them in there. It's really just going to give me that detail, right? And that's the flow that you want to keep moving on, right? You don't want someone to get to a report and then kind of get stuck and want to know more. And so every single report gives you this ability to keep going on that guided path of analysis, that journey of the data, to keep getting into deeper and deeper analysis. So as I go back to the dashboard, the next report I'm going to kind of go through is obviously one that we talked about in the webinar, which is the WIP report, the all-important WIP report. And so again, as I kind of go further into the billings of our transportation division, I'm greeted with a WIP report, right? So these are all of the projects that the transportation division of our organization is working on, right? The beauty of WIP reporting in Prophix or in FP&A is that it has all of the logic, all the calculations, everything from your percent completion, your overbill, your underbill, your margin, everything that makes WIP reporting so difficult and complex, super simplified. Anyone can build a WIP report in this application. You don't have to know the calculations, you just got to know what fields do I want to put in here. So it just makes everything incredibly simple for the end user. But the most common thing that we see and the most difficult part about running a construction organization is this, right? You're expecting to make single-digit margins on a job that you quoted 6 to 12 months ago. And with the changes in material prices and supply chains, that's really hard. And we understand that, right? And this is why we just love helping contractors better manage this through better, more real-time analytics, but also analytics that provide you the answer in detail behind the performance of that job, right? And so as I look at this job in particular, this is the one we saw on our dashboard a little bit earlier, we're experiencing a little bit less margin than we thought we would, right? And unlike traditional reporting systems, which they kind of stop here, and your journey is predicated on the reports that someone's also already built you to help you answer those questions, the real game changer is this button here. This is called Analyze. Analyze really changes the game to help end users solve for the answers to their questions incredibly fast. Not only does the AI help with that, but when it comes to slicing and dicing and drilling down, again, anybody can do this. I've done this whole demo, and most end users never even touch their keyboard. They can use their entire mouse, their tablet, however they interact with it. And that's just beautiful. That's wonderful. It's how end users should interact with this. So if we take a look at this job, this is the one that we're really, in question. This is the job that we're most interested in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of these other fields, like our phases, our dimension, our divisions, our company. All of these now are interactive. We've all used a pivot table. Pretend using a pivot table, but a pivot table that has access to all the data. A pivot table that has all of the calculations already built for you. All you have to know is what do you want. And so as I take the phase codes, which is obviously a good place to start, and I drag those onto here, now I'm starting to get a better understanding. Okay, that 1% margin fade, where's that coming from? Okay, well, there's 3 phases of the job that weren't doing so hot, right? And so as I keep kind of moving down the funnel here in terms of better understanding these things, I can then drill into the costs, right? So I can take a look at my cost codes, drilling deeper into some of those, better understanding what's happening, right? I can just simply click and open that. Or I can just take my different stages of the job from estimate through to completion, and then start to bring on the cost back onto the phases and drilling down on those. And so now what I've done is I've successfully figured out that in just a few clicks, in our excavation phase, it was labor and permits. Those permits, they're killer. If you operate in California, you know what I'm talking about. And so these are things that obviously are super important. And to be able to understand the detail on your own, no matter your level of proficiency, just really changes the game and helps you understand what's been going on. So now, as I've come to this conclusion, I've understood, okay, it was our excavation phase, it was labor and permits. What do I now go do next? And so as a CPM application, the beauty of it is these insights that you're now getting can quickly pivot. And they can quickly turn into updating your projections. So I'm going to go back to my home screen, and on my home screen are a list of tasks. All of these tasks are managed by workflows. So the workflow sends out all of the budgets templates, it sends out all the projection templates to those individual people. And as we kind of keep finishing this process off, it allows us to send those templates if you're doing it monthly, if you're doing it ad hoc, whatever it may be. And as people are getting those templates, again, it's only based on their security. But as I got that insight, I just discovered that insight about this job, right? And I want to go quickly make it update. You can obviously go into your cost to complete report, which you have in the system as well, Or if you decide, oh, I'm just going to do an overall increase, right? The beauty of it is that you can make those updates on the fly. And so as I update my projection for this job, you can not only just, either put it in monthly or weekly or daily or whatever update cadence you want, you can put it in, but you can start to use data. You can use a more intelligent approach to actually projecting your costs. And so you can just spread it evenly over the remaining time period of the job. Or what you can start to do is use past performance of other jobs of a similar nature or time frame. And so this is where it's starting to use and put your data to work. And so if I go into my list of jobs that I've already completed, maybe this job is going to be super, super similar in terms of the cost outflow, right? It's a very, very similar job. Lots of construction companies do work that's like rinse and repeat. It's the same job for many, many, many people, right? So why not start to use those curves, that S curve that you guys have in a lot of your jobs? Why not start to use that as a method for spreading your cost and spreading your billings? And so that's what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to right click and I'm just going to choose another job as the means for my projection of this job that I'm now updating. And so as I'm doing that, if you ever come back in the future and you say, hey, like, how come we budgeted or forecasted that amount? Well, this is why, right? This was the method, this was the audit trail behind why we put that dollar value in that month. And so as we complete this process, the beauty of it is that whether you're doing a job cost projection update, or as I'll show you in a second, you're doing a operating expense update or a personnel cost update, which is my next one. The beauty of it is that all of this feeds back into your financial statements. So I'm going to open up this template here just for a second. But as I'm completing this and I'm projecting out all of these amounts are naturally just flowing back, right? Because it's all there. The logic is built into the system. There's no more, taking the data and parsing it over and copying it over. It's all just moving seamlessly. And so if the next step of my process is to then go and do an OpEx reforecast, then that's great. The workflow presents me with that task. It tells me I have to complete it. And the orchestration of that entire planning cycle, whether it's monthly, weekly, quarterly, it's just so much smoother. You're not spending your time pulling your hair out, trying to facilitate this type of a process, right? And so this is an example of an OpEx template, which just for the amount of time we have left, I won't go too much into detail here, but the same idea comes through here, right? So if I'm planning out this expense and I want to use last year's actuals as a method for that expense, then that's no problem. I'll just use my last year's actuals, click OK, and now I have a much better rigor in terms of why I put $75,000 into an expense category. And then this way your budgets just get that much more accurate. You saw that on the earlier slide. Budgeting accuracy and forecast accuracy is so simple to achieve in an application like this, because now you're using data, you're using predictive modeling, which is another capability that we offer to actually help accelerate the process, but also improve it as well. Then the last thing I'm just going to quickly show here is the personnel planning aspect of it. You saw here in the budgeting template, the personnel costs were blank. That's no problem. That's because we have a dedicated workforce and personnel planning solution within the application. And the beauty of this is that it integrates to your HRIS system. It brings all of the attributes about all your team members. It also looks at all your projects and determines how many people do we need for these projects, right? Do we have enough of these people on staff? Do we need to go work with a contractor or subcontractor to do this? And the beauty of it is that it's going to take all this information for all these employees, and it's going to do all those complex calculations for you. Earnings, benefits, increases, union dues, taxes, everything simplified. And when payroll cost and labor cost is such a high cost to your organization, you want to get it right. You want to get that cost projected right so you can understand where can I put my capital elsewhere. And just like in the job cost projection example I showed, you just hit update, and the update process takes the data from this model, just as it did the jobs model, and pushes it back to our financial statements. So as I update this here, my payroll costs update in there, which then makes their way over to our forecast and our cash flow projection. It just moves smoothly. That's just the simple way of putting it, right? And so obviously with the time savings that you're now achieving through all of this, the finance team is enabled to really spend time partnering with the business. It's really cool and really awesome just to see how customers change the way that they spend their time, utilizing their finance team, these analytical minds, in ways that really help the business make business decisions, right? And help them really drive business value forward, which is the role of the CFO in today's day. So if we're at the end of the process, right, we're at the end of the forecasting process, we're at the end of our monthly financial statements, whatever it may be, you can package all these things up for either internal or external stakeholders into something we call a report binder. So the report binder allows you to package all of these reports up, and as you distribute them, again, it already knows every single person it's going to. It already knows what information they should and shouldn't see. And as you distribute this out to those individuals, it shows up in their inbox, already pre-formatted, and that package that you sent them contains all the reports, all the information that they need to be able to see, and it's all based on their security. So you're seeing here, for my user, the guy I've been logged in as, he continues to only see the jobs, the one that we just looked at. He only sees those jobs, right? And he only sees the indirect expenses for his jobs. And so as we kind of keep doing this, again, it's a huge time savings, right? When I started my career in finance, I used to produce these things for a publicly traded company, and making all these different cuts of the same package for each individual person, it's a huge amount of my time. So it's just awesome to see how customers can automate a lot of these things and just make their lives a lot easier, and really automate a lot of these routine tasks to ultimately help drive their business forward. And as I said at the beginning, the beauty of an application like this is that it's not only bringing all your data together, but it's helping you make sense of it. It's helping you model it, right? We've had some really cool cases of customers modeling their equipment rental rates, and actually realizing, we can charge more for this equipment that we're leasing out to other contractors. It just has so much potential to really help organizations run their business better, right? Not just automate things, but truly help them make better decisions and be more profitable contractors. So it's awesome to see some of those success stories that we shared a little bit earlier. I promised we'd save some time for some Q&A here. I hope this was informative, insightful, give you a little bit of a taste of our financial planning analysis application. Neil, do we want to take a look at some of the Q&A that's been coming in?
The first is, how does Prophix incorporate AI? So you kind of talked about AI quite a bit, but I think you even said it, AI is pervasive across the platform.
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. We get that all the time. Yeah, Prophix is powered by Amazon Web Services, and we utilize Amazon as well as Anthropic to power our Prophix One Intelligence AI engine. There's some really great examples that I kind of touched on today. We have our Copilot capability, which helps you just answer questions about your data. But it also helps you ask the Copilot questions about how to do things in the application. So again, it's all about simplifying and democratizing, not only questions about your data, but how do I build this type of a report? Well, fantastic. It's going to show you how to do that. Some of the other cases are predictive forecasting. We have a capability that can actually take a look at your historical performance and utilizes machine learning and different algorithms to help you more accurately project your business, which is why you're seeing a lot of those success factors on improving accuracy. And then also just kind of detecting data and detecting information in your data. So it's kind of surfacing, errors or issues with your information So there's a lot of really amazing capabilities. And again, as I said, it's pervasive across the platform. So for those customers who use multiple parts of the Prophix One platform, the AI engine is really working across and in concert with all the different processes that you're running on the platform. So it's really, really cool. I gotta say, it's been amazing.
Awesome. I've got another one here. Can Prophix handle month-end close reporting?
Yeah, Mike, do you want to touch on that? Mike, you actually had a client this week kind of working on some of that. So you want to touch on that?
Yeah, I'm at a conference this week, but yeah, so Prophix is a platform. So we kind of messaged the Prophix One platform today, and with the platform, there's the FP&A function, there's account reconciliations, there's financial close and consolidation. All of these are modules that you can implement within the Prophix One platform, and many customers out of the gate typically go with the FP&A function, which allows them to do not only the budgeting and forecasting and the analysis that Chris showed you today, but also your financial consolidation and your close process. So Prophix seamlessly does integrate to a lot of source systems. I think there's about 400 to 500 different source systems we've connected to using that. And when that data is integrated, we can automate any like consolidation processes from eliminations, if you have multi-entity, multi-currency, finalize the close from a reporting perspective, distribute those report packages to the various stakeholders that you need to, and then we can roll that into your monthly forecast for any changes that need to happen. So it does handle the financial close process, whether it's just from the reporting perspective, once the books close, getting the data in, distributing those reports, or if you have some other components like the account reconciliations that you need to do, there's also modules for that as well.
Okay, excellent. I do have an audience question here from Isabella Merzujewski. Hope I didn't butcher that too badly. The question is, does AI flag items that fall out of line to investigate?
Yeah, absolutely it does. So it's very common that like when you bring data into the system, there's a kind of a vetting process. We call it rejected records, as it is the term in the application. And so as the data is coming into the application, it actually flags a lot of those things immediately for you. You get an email notification that you have rejected records, anomalies within your data set. And so it does a really great job of bringing those insights forth. That's what we call, under our umbrella of Prophix One Intelligence, the detect capabilities. It really just looks and analyzes and combs through all of your data to find those errors, those omissions, and then allows you to take action on them, right? So even if it's just simple as going into the system and making sure that you've added an account that was missing, right? Someone booked it to an account that's new and you forgot to update it or something. It does a really great job of that. So that's a fantastic question, Isabella.
All right, thanks for that. Well, here's one I think could ride us off into the sunset. It's what sets Prophix apart from other financial planning and reporting tools on the market?
It's a fantastic question. I think Mike, I'd love to hear your point of view as well. Like, you've worked with hundreds of customers over the last decade. I think first and foremost is just the simplicity and ease of use. Customers can really adopt this. Yes, it's not Excel, but it's arguably simpler than Excel, right? As I showed earlier, anybody can build a report. Anybody can build a dashboard, right? The finance team is controlling that centralized structure. They're controlling the calculations and all of the definitions of how to do reporting in your business. But that just really makes it simpler for everybody else. So I think that's one part. The other part as well, which Mike can speak to as well, is the time to value, right? We're talking weeks to set this application up, right? Not months. It's really simple, quick time to value. All of those integrations Mike talked about really makes getting the data into the system, building the models incredibly fast, incredibly easy. And so I think that's a really key part. And then the final part, I kind of touched on it briefly, but our FP&A application is truly using the latest technology in the market. This application was built from the ground up to use the latest technology from Amazon from Anthropic to be able to leverage AI like nobody else. And I think that's the beauty of it is people want to use the latest tools, the greatest tools. And for us to be able to have the latest technology, it means we can leverage the latest technologies of our partners with Amazon and Anthropic and be able to leverage the tools that they're developing to make them useful for our customers, right? So everybody's always going to be getting the latest and greatest updates from us, and just helps them work smarter, which is what we all want to do. Mike, what are your thoughts in terms of, you know, what Prophix, how Prophix sets itself apart?
Yeah, you mentioned simplicity, ease of use. You know, it's highly productized, leveraging the latest and greatest, and that's really a testament to product's level of investment in R&D over the decades that they've actually been in business. So Prophix is, in my mind, one of the oldest and now the newest FP&A tools on the market, because they've been around since the late 80s, but have invested heavily in R&D to make their product one of the newest and more modern FP&A platforms on the market. So all that simplicity and ease of use, the technology that Prophix has built within the tool is a testament of the R&D that they invest in. Yeah, that's really the only thing that I would add. So it's I would say that's probably one of the greatest differentiators.
That's very nice of you to say. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to take one more then? We've got 5 minutes.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Love it.
All right. How frequently and at what level of detail can you forecast at? I think you touched on that a bit, but.
Yeah, the beauty of the system is that it's the application itself, it scales dynamically, and you always receive the best possible performance, no matter which level of detail, no matter how complex your models may get, how much data you put in there, you will always have lightning fast performance. And so we have customers, because of that are going down to a daily level. They're going down to an itemized job cost level to do their projections. We have customers in real estate that have hundreds of thousands of property units that they're going down to the level of fine tuning and tweaking the rent, you know, projections and things like that at a really fine tuned level. And so there's no limit to the level of detail and frequency that you wish to report at and forecast at. And the beauty of it is that the underlying technology dynamically scales up and down, no matter how many people are in the system, no matter how much detail you put into it. You always have that amazing usability and experience that you just don't get with Excel, right? Where Excel spreadsheets get bigger, they get slower. Prophix, your data, your models get bigger, your performance is always the same.
All right. Well, thank you, Chris Porter and Mike Ciprietti, for these amazing insights today. And special thanks to our partners and sponsors, Citron Cooperman, a leading technology services firm for Prophix, NetSuite, Microsoft, Salesforce, and more, and Prophix, a leading leader in FP&A and many other financial platform solutions. And last but not least, thanks to all of our attendees, and great success to you in 2025 and beyond.